everyone, welcome to Sunday Nights with Faye Seidler. We got another Sunday night, we got another Faye Seidler. That's what we got. Tonight we're going to talk about some terrible things. That's the world that we have, but there is some hope at the end of it. This thing is going to be talking about congressional spending, specifically the big, beautiful bill that you've probably heard about in the news at some point. That is still circulating through our Senate right now as they attempt to gut a lot of essential programs like Medicaid. We have found in North Dakota the impacts of these cuts so far could amount to $100 million not going to essential services across our state that are keeping us healthy, happy, and alive. The bill has not been finalized, so these can be varying degrees. Maybe it's only 50 million cuts, maybe it's not. But it is likely that there are going to be cuts that will impact us, it'll impact our quality of life, and we might have to have a special session specifically to address the shortfall in funding because of these cuts that are largely hurting people with very few benefits. In other bad news, it's been the basically Super Bowl of the Supreme Court season. I think that's what they say. The lawyers probably say that. If not, they should. It could be fun. They could do fantasy drafting of judges. We could have a little bit of joy in the things that we have heard so far. A lot of rulings have happened, some of which I don't have the same level of expertise to talk about. Two scary things were the end of birthright citizenship, or at least the ability to protect individuals based on birthright citizenship, as well as lower courts not being able to uphold injunctions against our executive branch. These are above my head. You should go and seek articles from individuals who have judicial knowledge or are lawyers about it. But from a layperson who has read these articles, my impression is it is consolidating quite a lot of power into our executive branch, which is bad for everyone. A democracy requires three pretty equal branches of government to hold each other in check, because if you don't have that, it's a little authoritarian. So that is a scary thing that's happened in the Supreme Court. For our LGBT plus individuals in particular, we found one good thing in the Supreme Court, and that is that healthcare can't deny preventative services like PrEP. Probably some exceptions there. I think it might have just been for Medicaid. Not sure if we even get Medicaid anymore, but that's what we know so far. The other thing is the Supreme Court has said that Tennessee can uphold its ban on hormone care for trans youth. This is a very limited ruling, but it is still a scary one because the medical care for trans youth is treatment. And without that medically necessary care, it puts their life at risk. It's unfortunate that politics can dictate healthcare in some states, but the good news, if you want to call it that, is it does not make any dictation about the medicine. It does not limit that medicine to be provided within North Dakota or Minnesota, and North Dakota could overturn its own ban if it chose to follow the medical guidelines of every major medical association in our nation. So while it is a terrible ruling, it's an unfortunate ruling, it impacts people's lives and ability to access medically necessary care, it doesn't change much happening within North Dakota or Minnesota, nor does it determine the future of this medicine, which every journal continues to show is very good. On that note, interestingly enough, the Health and Human Services did publish a report, 450 some pages, talking about trans care being bad. One of the co-authors, or one of the only ones that's been public about it, there were no names on that report, is a professor of philosophy at MIT. So why they are dictating who gets trans medical care is interesting. I prefer it to be doctors who study it, but that's me. I like that kind of thing. Maybe you like other kinds of things. I don't know. But to go back to the Supreme Court, the other thing we've done is allowed parents to opt out of LGBT plus classes for their kids. So if there's a class that teaches something about LGBT plus individuals or has a story that features them, well, parents should be given a slip to opt out to protect their religious freedoms. It does set a scary precedent that we're undermining education's ability to educate its students broadly. And by no stretch of the imagination is talking about queer people an indoctrination to individuals with religious beliefs. These stories do not tell you to say, be gay, or tell you that your religion is wrong. So these upholding of so-called religious freedom here is weird to me, because there are many queer people who are religious too. These are not mutually exclusive ideas. So the ability for parents to broadly exercise their right at such a detriment to public education, to me, is strange, especially when there are other options available to them, such as homeschooling. But that's just, again, me, this girl, talking to you. I find it strange. I do support religious freedom, but I don't think that's what we're seeing here. Unfortunately, both of these things do undermine the kind of support and help LGBT plus individuals need, especially our queer youth. Because even though on its surface, what this does is allow some parents to opt their kids out, the detriment to schools and the ways they have to figure out how to micromanage everything that they are doing and allow every patient to have every opt-out slip that's necessary creates an undue burden where it's just easier to avoid it altogether. And I think a lot of schools will do that to, again, the detriment of their queer youth and the benefit of no one. Yay! In the midst of all this, we also cut our 988 third option, which was going to our LG plus youth in particular. Trevor Project was often the one who answered this line, but I think it wasn't for every single 988 call center, but probably most of them. The good news about this is that you can still call Trevor Project and you can still call 988. But again, the amount of funding and direction that we're losing here is not good. When you mix this with all the other terrible stories that we continue to hear every day, it is bad. And our queer youth need support more than ever. They need safe places and safe adults, or they're going to be set up for failure. They're going to be set up for tremendous risk and abuse, and we're going to suffer that across our society and across our systems. I have a whole LT where I talk about this and beg for help. You can read it. It's fun. I'm slightly stressed. I'm a little bit stressed. I'm like up here in the stress. I can still like get some air, and stuff, but like it's pretty high. Trump is suing California because they allow trans kids to compete on the sport that they identify. Yay. We're winning so hard everywhere. J.K. Rowling's friend said that she's a lost cause. That's another thing. That's more news. Is that helpful? Are we good with that one? And if gay marriage is overturned, here's a map of all the states where that will immediately collapse because they never constitutionalized that in those states because those states do not like gay people. North Dakota is one of them. In actually like good news, Indie Compass has a great data trend. I'll have up here right now. Indie Compass is a fantastic state repository of a lot of good data. It includes voting data, demographic data, all the data you would want. It has your needs met. You can also ask some questions and compliment them. I recommend that. With the show being shorter, just so I don't burn myself out trying to bring people news, I do want to keep on highlighting that you can access basically every link that I ever talk about here and multitudes of more. I recorded 60 different stories this week on my weekly report. That includes trainings, that includes data pieces, that includes resources. You can read through it probably in like 5 minutes. It took me 20 hours, so that's a benefit to you for free from me, unless you give me money, and then it costs whatever you gave me, but that's fine. That's good, right? And my last bit of self-promotion is if all this stuff is a bummer to you, because it is, I have a good news newsletter. It's called Oops, Only Good News, and I give it out every Monday. That's tomorrow for people watching tonight. Tonight's Sunday for people watching this some other day in the future. And I try to highlight that regardless of all these terrible stories that we hear in terrible directions, that today is not forever. And that is the most powerful message I can ever communicate because of all the strife and struggle we see right now, of all the efforts to cut funding, all the terrible cultural direction and political animus we have towards queer and trans people. We have made tremendous strides too. 1950s, you're arrested for being gay. 1970s, you were arrested for cross-dressing. We are going backwards, but we're not going all the way back. And every day is a chance to push further than we've ever gone before and become the elders our youth thank us for. We fight every single day to make things better. We had to fight for abortion in the first place, and even though Roe versus Wade fell, does not mean it can't be rebuilt again. As we find common cause, ways to support each other, ways to actually thrive, and not just give up and feel hopeless about the world, we can make change. Every day is the opportunity to do that. Our entire country, everything that we have today was built from nothing at one point, and it can be rebuilt to better places that actually serve all of us across our democracy and across our nation, and specifically in North Dakota and the people I serve. And I fight every day for the belief that it can be better because it can when we work for it. We've gone through a lot of shit, like a lot of trauma in our country, and I think every day is a reflection of that. A lot of people are scared and anxious. A lot of people are divested, like I just said, and they don't want to turn on the news because every day it feels bad. But we also have incredible people everywhere. We have heroes, we have champions, we have people who inspire. I believe in people, and I believe that we will overcome what we have today. Not passively, but because get involved. There are so many ways to get involved. League of Women Voters is one of your best places, but get involved not because the world needs you, but because that's what you need to do to feel better about the world. Every day we work and put in that effort, we can make it better and feel better about ourselves, our life, and our community. So that's my hope, I guess, in today's climate of things. Hope you enjoyed my show, and you can always catch out my hope report tomorrow or any other next Monday. You have a great one, everyone. You're beautiful. You're amazing. You got this. Yeah.